Hello everyone, my name is Ronnie Punangbayan and this is my presentation on foam rolling versus static stretching on lumbar flexibility in athletes. So foam rolling has kind of been out there in the past few years. It's kind of new, it's gaining popularity. Maybe not everyone knows how to do it or what they're doing, but they've seen it. They've seen the rolls on sale at like Walmart or at sports stores. It's used to increase flexibility, increase blood flow. You use a dynamic motion most of the time when you are on the foam roll, so you're not like staying in one position for too long. It targets the muscle and it targets the connective tissue around the muscle called the fascia. Now, static stretching is something that most of us are pretty familiar with. It's more of a traditional method for flexibility training. It entails like long holds in a certain position where the muscle is elongated, and I think I may mention you may hold it for like 30 to 60 seconds. So a little bit different in terms of the way that you attack flexibility, and we're going to kind of look at how these two methods fared during the study. So why would we do the study? So foam rolling, like I said before, is getting more popular, and but the question is, do most people know much about it? Is it really effective or is it a fad? We don't know. Well, some research shows, but we're gonna do more research. Who would benefit? Um, Everyone. So athletes, especially, is who I'm targeting here. So athletes would benefit from this study. Particularly younger athletes is what we're aiming to study at right now. So athletes would benefit because it gives them a more effective means of increasing their flexibility. So the question is, what are the effects of foam rolling versus static stretching on lumbar spine flexibility? The reason I chose lumbar spine is because typically a lot of lumbar spine injuries, or not necessarily the spine, but the muscles surrounding the spine injuries, are prevalent in sports, and a lot of them are a result of lower extremity flexibility issues as well. So the hypothesis was that foam rolling will be more effective at improving lumbar spine flexibility than static stretching using the modified sit and reach test. There's a picture of the modified sit and reach test. So the participants will be 30 male high school basketball players who have had a history of low back pain or leg pain. It doesn't necessarily have to be associated with their sport, but if they do have pain or they have feelings of tightness in their legs, or if they feel like they have flexibility issues, we want them. But they are not in a flexibility program. The procedure would be, it's a 4-week study, 2 groups of 15 students each, randomly selected, but split into differences by age. And they perform a protocol that is 10 minutes each. So they're all taught how to foam roll correctly and how to static stretch correctly, different parts of their body, mostly lower extremity, like the quads, hamstrings, gastroc, piriformis. So before they begin the program, they're going to take a modified sit and reach test, which will get them their baseline measurements. And then after the test, after the study, after 4 weeks, they would take another modified sit and reach test to see how they fared, if there was improvement, or to see how great the improvement was comparing the two methods. So we use a gain score analysis with the p being less than 0.05, and the picture of the gain score analysis. In the next slide, it shows us that the average change in lumbar flexibility from the beginning of the study was significantly greater for the foam rolling group than the static stretching group. And so here are the findings. So as you can see, based on the gain score analysis, that the the median average improvement for foam rolling group was 3.73 inches, while the static stretching group was only 1.8 inches increase for their modified sit and reach scores. So this supports my hypothesis that foam rolling was more effective than static stretching at improving lumbar spine flexibility. However, more tests are needed. It's a relatively small sample size. I would like a larger scale, and we definitely need a more diverse population. It was only males, and it was only males who played basketball. So if we wanted to do something in general to find out what the increase would be for all athletes, we would need a variety of sports, boys and girls, and that would take a larger sample size than what we had. And then, of course, we'd want to repeat tests to make sure that they are reliable and valid. And eventually, why we care is so that we can see that there was still improvement with static stretching. So we want to create a protocols, or we want to create suggestions for treatment. So it will lead to further studies of, do we do static stretching with foam rolling, or do we just do foam rolling alone? So those are kind of off the subject, but this will help raise those questions as to what constitutes a good flexibility program. And but what can happen is we can base that on their different sports. So maybe certain sports require more foam rolling than static stretching, and maybe they need more time for certain things. So these are all stuff that the studies in the future can help us determine. So that's the end of my presentation. I hope we all learned something.